Hello and welcome to a van trip vlog. I'm off on a day trip in the van to a car show. It's just over an hour away and I'm running a little late, so I better get started. It didn't take me long to shoot down the motorway into Leicestershire. There wasn't much traffic around that Saturday morning. And though Google Maps had told me I was near the venue, I could have guessed that from the line of stationary traffic waiting to turn into the farmer's field that was hosting the event. We were all moved along fairly swiftly though, and I turned in and got my first glimpse of the main paddock where the key displays were. Even driving through the field to the parking, there were enthusiast cars on either side, grouped by various owners' clubs. The event was organised by Johnny Smith, aka Car Pervert, aka host of The Late Break Show here on YouTube. What he's done is create a series of one-day live events featuring many of the vehicles shown in his videos, and that includes electric cars, classic cars, restoration projects. It really is a very interesting car channel presented by a genuine car enthusiast. Here, for example, was a section for cars left under covers in barns or sheds for decades and now brought out for restoration, such as this Austin Allegro. A mate of mine had one of these when we were at university. I remember him changing the clutch on it one summer and being tremendously impressed at his DIY skills. This one clearly needs a lot of love, and although Allegros were largely hated at the time, which was the mid to late 1970s, they do now have a certain fan base. Look at all the space around that engine. Also on display were some of Johnny's own cars, including his wife's Nissan Figaro, a fairly rare sight on British roads, but I've seen a handful over the years. You used to see a lot of original Beetles around, now they're really quite rare. Here's Johnny's own Allegro, which he's gently turning into some kind of stealth performance machine, though like all such projects, it's a labour of love, time and money. He owns this Japanese taxi for some reason, as well as an American Dodge Charger. There's the man himself, chatting with fans. The bloke who runs this company, converting Citroën 2CVs to electric, happens to watch my narrowboat videos, so we had a good chat about electrifying things. This is a fun idea, but they're not cheap. Again, Johnny did a video on these, which was very entertaining. I've left a link to his channel in the video description. Next door was a company doing electric conversions to original Minis. Essentially, just a whacking great battery pack, a motor and a control unit. This shot, I think, captures the eclectic mix of the day. Beetle, JCB, kit car, Suzuki Jimny, and an ancient Toyota. Now that's exactly the kind of roof I want on my camper van, but no one seems to make these for the Pro Ace or Dispatch. Other stuff on display included a big truck and a big tank. I've always wanted a tank. I think it would be fun to go to the supermarket in one. Many years ago, my then wife prohibited me from buying one, but the yearning remains. For the tank, not the ex-wife. Here's the new Lada Niva. I had no idea Lada was still making cars, and apparently this is a quite good, albeit basic, rough and ready off-roader, a kind of alternative to the Jimny that's no longer being sold. From old school to modern day, plenty of electric cars were being shown. This one's the latest from Hyundai, I think. I'm not a fan of the modern fad for crazy angles, and I don't like electric car interiors. They smack of the 1970s to me, and I think they'll date very quickly. That's the first model that Kia ever brought to Britain,
parked alongside their latest, another EV. Nearby, the same trick with Honda, the early Civic, I think, paired with the new E, which I do like the look of. If it's quirky you want, Citroën is where to turn, of course, and this is the Ami. 2 doors, looks the same whether going forwards or back, top speed about 26 miles an hour, and can be driven by 14-year-olds in France because it's classed as a quadricycle. Showing off at the stage was Nissan, who had a Leaf powering all of the sound gear, amplifiers and such like. I'll come back to the sound in a minute. From the future of motoring, back to the future of motoring. It's a DeLorean, of course, as featured in my favourite film. Sadly, still no sign of personal Mr. Fusion reactors coming onto the market. Look, there's Marty McFly's jacket and skateboard. Sadly, the time circuits seem to have been removed. And no sign of the flux capacitor either. Another section on display was cars that viewers are restoring, or modifying, or tuning, or whatever. How on earth can you drive something like this, where the wheels are squished into the arches like that? There were just a couple of camper vans on display, with a deliberately rusty and rustic look. This was quite the unassuming little treasure. It's a Jensen Interceptor, once owned by John Bonham from Led Zeppelin. Found in a barn and in need of substantial work, and displayed here as if it had just been dragged out of said barn. And from the sublime to the ridiculous, here's car mechanic and TV personality Ed China turning up in a car that's an orange, one of his many wacky creations. It was an interesting show, but there was a big problem. A huge part of the event was a series of talks on stage, but the sound system wasn't set up right, so we got feedback, so they turned it down, so I could barely hear a word they were saying. Plus, Johnny's mic sounded broken when you could hear it, and I couldn't see the stage because there were so many people that we were sitting in amongst the cars, which got in the way. So I gave up and went home at lunchtime, rather frustrating as I'd been looking forward to the afternoon sessions, but what was the point of staying if you can't hear them? That aside, it was an interesting day, and as you can see, there was a lot of variety to look at. Thanks for watching. Cheerio.